Good afternoon, mga katropa. Welcome to another episode of Oh My God with yours truly, katropang Manilyn Tilde. This program aims to promote gender awareness and other God-related issues. Today is the first Saturday of August, another episode of Oh My God, and we're going to talk about diversity and inclusivity in social graces and dressing, which are very essential in fostering respectful and supportive work environment. And to discuss our topic, she is a seasoned organization development practitioner with more than 2 decades of corporate consulting and experience in diverse industries. Founder of Cara Leadership and author of book You Can Do It: The Six Keys to Personal Development, a guidebook for people at work. She's a former radio host of HR Leaders Worldwide in DWW 1134 kilohertz AM station radio programs. Managing Director and Chief Organization Development Consultant of Great Learnings and Beyond Management Consultancy. She's an internationally certified management consultant or CMC Global ICMI. She has a PhD in organizational development and planning, faculty member at the University of Santo Tomas College of Commerce and Business Administration, and Southeast Asia Interdisciplinary Development Institute Graduate School of Organization Development. She is Mrs. Tourism Universe 2019 winner and currently serving the Philippine Army as chairperson of OD Committee of the Multi-Sector Advisory Board and founded a charity group, Lead with Love Care Group. Please welcome Dr. Giselle L. Barrio. Good afternoon, Dr. G.
Good afternoon, Teacher Manilyn, and also good afternoon to all your radio listeners and viewers of this media streaming on Voice of the Teachers. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, so we're so pleased to have you with us this afternoon, Doc G, here in Voice of the Teachers Radio. And I'm certain that we'll learn a lot from your expertise today. So, Doc G, for my first question, this is the first question that will come to the minds of our viewers and listeners. What's the difference between diversity and inclusivity? Could you briefly define to us diversity and inclusivity?
Okay, so that's actually the topic for today. It's more of diversity and inclusivity. Actually, Teacher Manilyn, there are so many terminologies right now, more than the diversity and inclusivity, but later on, I will unravel it as we progress in our conversation. I call it conversation. So let's talk about diversity first. So when you talk about diversity, I presume that some of our viewers or listeners are pretty much aware of it, while for the benefit of some who are not so familiar when it comes to organizational context of the meaning of diversity, not just in its Webster definition. It means understanding the uniqueness of everyone. So there are so many diversities in our society. Like, for example, it could be there's what you call neurodiversity, wherein we have differences in terms of our KSA, knowledge, skills, attitude, or competencies and capabilities. We also have differences when it comes to our gender preference or gender orientation, and also difference in terms of race, religion, status, economic status, and there are also what you call the underrepresented groups in the society that can also, which we can also call as part of what we're talking about when it comes to the uniqueness, like the PWDs, for instance. So there are many things that that can be included when it comes to the topic of diversity. And then another one, before we go to inclusivity, so we understand inclusivity better, there's what you call equality. So equality, it's more of giving equal opportunities or rights to everyone or to all. Now, it's not enough that we just give people equal rights or opportunities, right? Because we have varying needs or concerns. That's why there is this term now, which we call equity. So equity is not just simply providing equal rights or opportunities to all, but also appropriating in giving such rights or privileges to a person or to individuals. The other one is inclusion or inclusivity. So inclusivity is actually the amalgam or the combination of diversity and equity at the same time. So it is not just simply understanding their differences or each person's differences, and also it's not just simply understanding the rights or privileges that everyone can have or everyone has the privilege of getting, but it's also about respecting the different opportunities or privileges that everyone can get, okay, out of this DEI initiatives. And not only respecting, but more than that, it's also valuing everyone in the institution or in the organization. So that's inclusivity. So there's understanding, there's respect, and you also value them. That's inclusion. And then the last terminology there is belongingness. Kaya nga DEIB na siya. It's not just DEI. So belonging, meaning when you talk about belonging, people must also feel it. So it's not just simply having inclusion training or inclusivity training or policies in the organization for the sake of having one, but important din doon is that your target audience must really feel that they belong to the group. Now, bakit ba nagkaroon ng DEIB? Ano ba yung ina-address niya? Of course, meron tayong tinatawag na mga aggressions, 'di ba? Kaya nga tayo nagkaroon ng DEIB. 'Di ba? May tinatawag tayo na aggression. Merong microaggression and macroaggression. Kaya nga this brought about the discussions on DEIB. Ano ba yung pagkakaiba ng dalawang aggressions na yon? So yung microaggression naman, ang microaggression, it's more of yung mga subtle actions or comments na pwedeng maka-offend sa isang tao, whether that action is intentional or unintentional. So for example, usage of his or her, 'di ba? If a person na sinabihan mo nun, ang tingin niya sa sarili niya is a her, pero tinawag mo siyang his, that's a form of microaggression. It's subtle or it could be unintentional, right? Now, yung isa naman tinatawag nating macroaggression, yung macroaggression naman, it's systemic or institutionalized na sa isang organization or institution. Like for example, not giving equal opportunities for promotion. Let's say for example, may certain gender group na hindi nila binibigyan ng equal opportunities at that level of management. That's a form of macroaggression. Kasi it's already institutionalized or part of the system or systemic, 'di ba? Pwede rin naman it could be in the form of harassment or bullying. Yung pagkakaroon ng hostile work environment, that's also macroaggression. Say for example, sabi natin, maraming klase ng diversity. It's not just about gender orientation or gender preference. It could also be one's, let's say for example, status. Halimbawa, new employee ka, 'di ba? Tapos nakikita nila parang, uy, wala pa siyang kakilala. And then ang sample ng macroaggression is you're going to invite everyone, let's say, for lunch out, except for that new employee. That's an example already of macroaggression, right? Or halimbawa, may iba siyang
Nawawala yung belongingness.
nawawala yung very good, exactly. Nawawala, Teacher Manilyn, yung belongingness ng DEIB. Yun nga, kaya nga complete yung binanggit ko kanina para makita nila yung bigger picture.
So, since Doc G, we're talking about diversity and inclusivity, the context of workplace, how can organizations support employees in expressing their personal identity through their dress while maintaining and protecting the professional image of the company?
Okay, that's a very timely or relevant question, I must say, because a lot of organizations right now, be it in a corporate setting or non-corporate setting, are actually experiencing such. Yung pagdating sa mga dress code, ano ba dapat
Yeah.
ang appropriate dress code natin? I've even attended a session wherein they were openly discussing about the dress code or the uniform policies in their institution, and they were having different thoughts or suggestions about it. Ang mahalaga doon, whoever will champion it in their organization, because normally kapag a formal organization, there's a human resource department who normally champions discussions on dress code. But in the absence of such, there's also the top management or the leaders who needs to champion it or who need to champion it. So important there in terms of finalizing or institutionalizing the dress code policies in the company is that there should be someone who would go in between um, accepting or respecting employees or individuals' personal identity as well as the company's image, right?
So
Because
they should meet halfway,
they
no?
have to meet, right? That's right. They have to meet halfway. So
And
the one who will
compromise.
champion it must be able to compromise, must have that skill to compromise, to
Yes.
partner with the employees, to make them an ally of change rather
Yes.
than an enemy. You have to make them your partner or an ally so you can get openly some of their brilliant suggestions or ideas on how they can integrate both, because we have to understand that when you're part of the institution, whether whatever institution that is, it could be as an academy or school, it could be BPO or insurance, whatever institution or industry that you belong, they have what you call corporate image or institutional image that they protect in the eyes not only of their internal employees, these are their internal clients rather, or that's their employees, but also in the eyes of their external customers, which are their target customers. Ito yung bumibili sa kanila ng services. So they have to protect that, that facade, that image that they exude to their partners, to their customers. So kailangan mapaunawa ng HR at ng top management yun sa employees that we have to maintain pa rin professionalism, that's one, and neatness in terms of our corporate dressing. So hindi ibig sabihin that when there is DEIB or diversity, inclusivity, equity, etc., everything must go on or masusunod na kung ano man ang gusto ng bawat isa. There should
Yes.
still be standards, right?
And every employee's Doc G is representation, di ba, of the company.
Yes.
They represent the
Exactly. They
company.
represent the company. That's
Yes.
why, of course, important sa kanila yung image because that will be in this world, yung first impression pa rin lies not just with your words, not just with the way you communicate to people, but also with regard to how you represent yourself through your professional image. So kailangan mapaunawa yun sa mga empleyado na we have to maintain this professional image while at the same time we want to hear you out. What are your suggestions so that we can integrate the best of both? Kaya important sa HR na dapat they have to be, and also to management, that they have to be holistic in their approach. Holistic in their approach and they're open to feedback. Napaka-importante nun. And they can also get external partners or consultants so that the consultant would be able to help them understand what are the trends or the practices when it comes to corporate dressing according to their industry. But it's important that when they get a consultant, then at the same time, they also have to feed the right information to the consultant. If, for example, the direction is just to simply inform employees as to the do's and don'ts, or gusto mo ba yung consultant i-incorporate na what should be the inclusivity practices when it comes to dressing, so that the consultant will be able to design his or her program according to the need of the institution. Kasi you have to be partners again in this process, in this culture change or culture development initiative.
So, Doc G, you have been an OD practitioner for 2 decades. Can you give us some examples of policies or practices that support diverse gender expressions in dress code?
Okay. For example, it has to be when when you communicate dress code in the company, you have to be very particular with the language that you use because some people they can be somewhat sensitive, especially when you talk about dressing. Like they do not want to put certain dressing policies into a box. Like this is for women, this is for men. Let's understand that there are people who might not be comfortable with wearing a skirt, right? Or vice versa. Some people might not be comfortable wearing pants on the other hand, right? So right now, with the study of DEI, what we are telling people is that if they want the culture to be more inclusive, they have to be careful with the usage of the pronouns, and at the same time, in putting certain standards into a box, right? Because there's no best dress code to begin with. That's why it needs to be in partnership with the employee. What is acceptable to them? So, for example, if they decide that it's okay to wear a skirt and pants at the same time, so when they communicate it to the employee, they can mention instead of saying this attire or skirt and pants are for female and pants are only for male, or pants or formal attire are only for male, for example. Instead of saying that, you can instead say that for formal attire, we can wear pants or skirt. So that's an example of an inclusive language when we communicate about the dress code.
So I think the company should also be clear with what they want for their
Exactly. They have to be very
employees.
specific with when it comes to the dressing. They have to be specific what attire do they consider to be formal and
Mhm.
business
Yeah.
casual, and what are the do's and the don'ts.
Doc G, how can ongoing training and resources be provided? This is for the organization to keep individuals informed about best practices in inclusivity.
All right. That's a very relevant question. Again, as I may say, yung training and resources are actually readily available naman yan. It just depends lang on the readiness of the leaders as well as the institution. And second would be the budget. The budget.
Yes.
Now, if the company does not have much budget for having this DEI related initiatives in their organization, then they can have subject matter experts who could probably attend certificate programs or seminars related to DEI. And also, they can talk about it, let's say, yung mga informal sessions. Halimbawa, wala silang function room. May mga companies na gano'n, di ba? Wala silang sariling events place or function room where they can hold a number of people in their company to attend a seminar or training related to DEI. Then kahit yung mga informal way of learning like over lunch or brown bag session, pandesalan session, pag-uusapan lang yung mga best practices in terms of DEI that they got from other institutions, from other organizations, or that they read somewhere or watched somewhere, 'di ba? And share best practices to each other and identify ano doon yung mga applicable to them and not so applicable to them, right? Tapos,
Yeah.
important din yung availability ng mga online resources kasi hindi naman palaging person ang magiging intervention mo, 'di ba? Or human intervention. It could also be an online intervention. So, pwedeng yung kung sino man yung nag-champion yun sa organization ng DI na yan, na initiative, should be able to provide them with online materials or resources that employees can actually readily access anytime that they need it. So even yung mga bagong empleyado, makakapag ano din sila, makakapag orientation din sila, or meron ding reinforcement ng kanilang onboarding, 'di ba? Kasi kung
Yes.
minsan, kapag bago ka, ang dami mong inaalam sa organization Pero dapat, after the onboarding, may reinforcement ka. And one way of reinforcing learning is availability of learning materials or resources. And of course, having an ongoing feedback system. Important yon. Yung openness to get suggestions or feedback from your people on how they can improve the DEI practices in the organization. Kasi each of us in the organization, in the institution, would bring something there that could help the company improve its current practices. Hindi lang yan champion or minamaster ng subject matter experts. Anyone can be contributory to it, to the development of that culture in the company.
Doc G, for my last question, what are the effective ways to handle conflicts? Ito, very common in an organization. Hindi natin maiwasan. What are the effective ways to handle conflicts or misunderstanding related to social basis interests?
Okay, when it comes to conflicts, alam mo yun, Teacher
Because of
Madeline.
diversity, kasi iba-iba nga tayo.
Yes.
We have different ideas, opinions, so hindi siya may iwasan. So how do we handle it?
Yes, napaka-important ng communication. 'Di ba?
Yeah.
Halos lahat ng conflict, kahit hindi related sa DEI, sa DEIB discussion, has a lot to do with communication. Right? Communication. Sa mga training programs namin, we are espousing two important types of communication. Okay? One is objective, the usage of objective communication. And the other one is the usage of positive assertions. Yung sa objective communication, maraming tips or ways on how you can be more objective. For example, sabi nga natin, isa sa mga diversity, yung neurodiversity, yung pagkakaiba-iba ng bawat tao in terms of their mental aptitude. May mga ibang empleyado, mas mabilis silang learners. May mga iba medyo slow learners. Sabihin na natin ganun.
Yes.
I've encountered some leaders that they get pissed off with their staff who are kind of slow when it comes to understanding yung mga concepts that they are teaching during orientation.
Instructions, diba?
Oh, so there are ways by which we can communicate things without being offensive. Like for example, instead of saying, alam mo, Juan de la Cruz, alam mo, Juan, medyo slow ka eh. Dati ko pa to dinidiscuss. I've been teaching this to you for 3 months already. Until now, you don't get my point. Instead of saying that the person is slow, you can instead say, Juan, I appreciate your loyalty to our company, but you may want to review or you may want to take a refresher course on that. Maybe it's about time because the last time you've had a refresher course on that topic, on that technical topic, that was 3 years ago. Maybe it's about time for you to take a refresher course. Diba? There's a way by which you can say things without being offensive. And also avoiding things that are, it has to be more of an I statement when you communicate to people instead of they or them. Say for example, may na-notice ka sa isang tao na hindi mo nagustuhan, huwag mo sabihin avoid saying rather na alam mo, sabi ni ganito ka daw makipag-usap, nakakunot ang noo mo habang kausap mo yung customer. Sabi niya, medyo daw snobbish ka or intimidating ka sa customer. 'Di ba? For all you know, 'di ba, that's a form of discrimination na pala yung ginagawa mo, discriminatory and derogatory remark because talagang ganun lang talaga ang mukha nung tao na yun. Unless lang magpa-botox siya or magpa-filler siya, siguro wala siyang wrinkle, 'di ba? Oo, so instead of saying na sinabi nila at magpuput up ka pa ng derogatory remark, why not say, I've noticed recently may mga challenges ka ata sa mga customer. Ano kayang dahilan? Bakit kaya nagkakaroon ka ng challenges? Ganun ba? Akala nila masungit ka. But you know what? Ang ganda mo mag-smile. Try smiling some more. Diba? Kumbaga, there's always that a creative way of, without losing the authenticity of your language, but you still get the same result that you want.
So it's about communication.
It's about communication, and it's not just being objective, it's also being positive at the same time. Because some people, when you talk about objective kasi, it's more factual. Factual, I statement, ikaw mismo nakakita, hindi based sa emotion, kundi based sa nakita mo, without labels, without, putting down on people. But ito talaga yung nakikita mo sa kanya. Sometimes it is good also to practice yung positive assertion. Yung hindi lang purely objectivity ang pinapairal mo. Kailangan may positivity ka rin. May mga tao din na offended pag masyado kang straightforward. Diba?
Yes.
So,
especially in our culture, Doc G, right?
in our culture, we're sensitive, mga Filipinos, unlike yung ang Western culture.
We sugarcoat because we want to protect the feelings of others. Yes.
Oo. But of course, kailangan when you come up with positive assertion, it is still based on authenticity. Mahirap kasi kapag ang tao notice na parang masyadong surface level naman to makipag-usap or motherhood statement at sinasabi. Kailangan specific ka pa rin. Halimbawa, you wanted to tell something objectively to someone based on your observation, but you can mention something positive that you've noticed about that person muna. Alam mo, ganda ng performance mo last month. In fact, napuri ako during Manco meeting because ang ganda daw ng sales performance natin, and I can attribute that to your team's effort. Kasi kayo talaga yung pinakamalaking na contribute dun sa target natin last time. But you know what? I've noticed recently, parang medyo nag-slump ata ang sales natin. What could be the challenge? 'Di ba? So, ano dun yung combination ng objective and pagiging positive mo at the same time. 'Di ba? And that can apply regardless of situation that calls for it. Kasi yung conflict naman, like what I've mentioned, it's not just related to DEI eh. It could be about many things in the organization. And majority ng mga conflicts sa organization, nagbo-bottom line yan sa communication.
So again, DEIB, diversity, equity, inclusivity, and belongingness.
Yes,
I have
that's
so
correct.
much question, Ma'am G, but we don't have much time. So thank you very much, Doc G, for being with us this afternoon and for sharing your knowledge and expertise to us. I'm sure ang ating mga katropa viewers sa FB Live and in our katropa listeners learn a lot from you. Once again, Dr. Giselle L. Barion, Managing Director and Chief Organization Development Consultant of Great Learnings and Beyond Management Consultancy. Thank you so much, Doc G.
Ayan, thank you, Teacher Manilyn, for the interview.
Thank you.
Thank you, mga katropa.